Hi everybody. Yeah, happy 4th of July. It's still the morning time here in Central Standard Time. I hope everybody plays safe today. And I have to remind everybody everything in my videos is for entertainment purposes only. So yeah, I kind of noticed a few things. It's yesterday the numbers on my video were on my channel were reading 329. Now I'm down to 327. I guess I annoyed a few people. But I guess in the past 28 days, I'm still up 6 people. So maybe some bots heard some things they didn't like, so they disappeared. I don't know. I don't play those games. I'm not into that. I mean, whoever listens, listens. Whoever subscribes, subscribes. If you like what you hear, go ahead, share it to your friends. But yeah, remember, everything is for entertainment purposes only. For full description is down in the box. So let's get going. Something that I find ironic that they're making reports of. You do have to dig a little bit, but now that while JoJo is over visiting Charles, Janet Yellen is following in the footsteps of Blinken and will be hanging out in the Big Red Sea. So, who's the smokescreen? JoJo's nonsense in the UK is going to be covering up what Janet Yellen is doing in the Big Red Sea. So, that's all kicking off like in the next 36 hours. So, let's keep our eyes and ears open. Yeah, we're still seeing all heck breaking loose in France. Well, hey, that is basically because the migrants are refusing to assimilate into French society. Just like the migrants are crossing the border here and going into the UK, I'm like, crying out loud, they want all the goodies, but they expect the country that's giving them everything on a silver platter to conform to their ideology. Hey dudes, you come into my country, you assimilate to my way of life. No, I'm not going to play your silly games. Not at all. So basically, we should, everybody who's up in Minnesota, register in that district and get rid of that Ilhan Omar, because here, she's in the United States now. She became a citizen. She's in Congress. Why hasn't she totally assimilated into being an American? Let's see her hair, dearie. Yeah. She's nothing but a chicken poop. Okay. Another thing, we got to start watching out for Senate Bill 5599. That will allow a child who is being groomed, who thinks a little boy or a little girl who thinks they are a member of the opposite sex, they can run away and they can tell who they run to. Well, my mommy and daddy don't want me to be, I can't pretend to be what I think I should be. So whoever takes that child into custody does not have to report to the parents where the child is, and gives the person that now has control over the child to do irreparable damage to that child's physical body. It started out in Washington State. It's trying to go cross nations. So make your voices known, people. I'm just a small channel, but I hope everyone who listens can tell 2 people, so then it will multiply out. So please do. Because I'm telling you, and if you tell 2 people, and then, remember that old shampoo commercial? Yeah, that's what we need. I'm finding bizarre stuff, so hey, it's, we got to get the word out. Now, there's this supposed GOP candidate, Will Hurd. Well, I call him Hurd the Turd. He's basically a donkey pretending. Yeah, he's a donkey pretending to be a rhino. He is very pro blue and yellow flag country. He's very pro. We should be giving more to the Z guy. He calls Donald a total loser in many ways. And when you put your hat into the ring to run for the big office, the big job, top job here in the States, you agree to support whoever wins all the primaries. Okay, all the prelim job interviews, and he won't sign it. So yeah, go ahead and check out Will Hurd, basically Hurd the Turd. So keep your eyes out. Oh, the other thing everyone has having snit fits about is the end of affirmative action in college applications. Well, you know what? The reason why is because now teachers who work in the schools of the minorities are now going to have to work. Instead of being a babysitter, they now have to teach those kids how to read, write, and do math. Parents are now going to have to be responsible for their child's education. Yeah. So if you can't read or write, maybe you should go to trade school, learn a trade, do something with your hands. Don't expect to get into a college. And by this affirmative action stuff, it will actually mean that a college bachelor's degree will actually mean something again. Because right now, a bachelor's degree is equivalent to about a high school diploma. Okay? Okay, I did go see the movie Sound of Freedom, Jim Caviezel's movie. You know, anyone who paid attention to the Chapeau Blanc crew over the past couple of years, they were all talking about how this movie was having private screenings with that guy, Juan What's-His-Face. Actually, that's his non-diplome. Actually, he's a car collector on the West Coast. Yeah, and he still does. He talks with. I'm not going there. Not going there at all. But yeah, Jim Caviezel was having private screenings all over the place, and I was watching the credits, and okay, everybody who tossed him a couple bucks for the film has their name in the credits. So you're like sitting there for the last about 5 minutes of the credits, just watching the names of every single group of people, single person, families donating cash. He does his own little PSA at the end of the movie. I was there, I was watching the audience, and there were some people walking out because they just couldn't handle the story matter of the movie. Okay, and I went with a friend, and she was having a rough time dealing with it. Some can call me cynical or whatever, but it's like I was viewing the movie as a combination tossed together like an old Charles Bronson movie, throw in Apocalypse Now, a touch of James Bond, a little bit of Mission Impossible, and that's what Sound of Freedom is. Okay? Maybe it's because I've lived in so many places, I've visited, that I've seen this stuff going on for decades, that I'm like, okay, it's old news to me. Okay, I saw the movie. I bought the bags of popcorn. I mean, to some people it'll be earth-shattering, but because to me, I appreciate that my friend got the tickets, and I know I wanted to see it with her because I know she needed the moral support to watch it, because for some people who haven't seen what I've already seen, it's a really hard movie to watch. And yeah, I had to keep reminding her, hey, it's a happy ending, because otherwise Jim Caviezel wouldn't have talked to Tim Ballard. It's a happy ending, so hey, remember that. Everything works out. So, and of course, the trailers at the theater were interesting because I would say at least 50% of the trailers were from independent films from lesser known studios, because the bigger studios are throwing are the distribution companies are looking around for everything that's been sitting on shelves for the past few years and putting it into the big theaters, because the Writers Guild is on strike. And July 12th, if the Writers Guild stuff isn't straightened out, Screen Actors Guild is going out on strike. So right now, the industry is in shutdown mode, and they don't have any product. So what they're doing, new product being made. So they're pulling out stuff that's been sitting around collecting dust and putting that out into the theaters. And the good stuff that has been put together, they're going to release that in drips and drabs. So they have big stuff coming out along with all this other little independent stuff. So that's notice you're going to see a lot of independent movies, non-union movies hitting the big screens. And the one movie that it hasn't been released yet, but people are waiting for it, is that Barbie movie. Well, they've already stated that Vietnam, okay, we know Vietnam is now a communist country, is now saying, no, you cannot show this movie here in Vietnam. It cannot be shown because I guess they have a map. Well, the map shown in the movie is very generous to the Big Red Sea. Well, it's kind of ironic because the Big Red Sea helped Vietnam become a communist country. Talk about the pot calling the kettle black. What's going on over there? I mean, we all remember, those of us who are old enough, we remember watching the fall of Saigon on TV. So I guess Saigon is not really liking the Big Red Sea. I mean, what is going on? That really says a lot. So maybe we should start checking things out. And yeah, we have to start watching stuff and actually see who's been the major producers, the money people for certain movies. Yeah, we got to. I mean, it's now, of course, I watched my favorite Swede this morning, and people are getting upset because, okay, first off, the group, think back to the 70s and 80s, folks, the gay and lesbian, and then they added the bis into the fold, are getting really, 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 really upset with the trannies. And of course, they're separating themselves out. Don't believe, if I happen to speak to many people who are in the GBL group, and many people are actually closet conservatives, extremely closet conservatives, and they don't like this tranny nonsense at all. So you guys better watch your butts, because you're going to get slaughtered in the end, big time. I mean, your ideology, if you don't have the people who are there during the Stonewall and went through the 80s and the beginning of HIV, you little punks are SOL. Big time SOL. And the other thing the Swede mentioned is there was some guy who was in the Spanish basketball leagues, and he collapsed, and he had a heart attack, and during his last conscious moments, he admitted it was a mistake to get the whatchamacallit in the arm, the liquid. He goes, I didn't listen. People listen. I'm gone because I got the liquid. I don't remember the guy's name, but I'm sure someone will find it. As for what's going on in the UK, okay. There's all the scandal rags still making stink about Andrew having to leave Royal Lodge. I'm like, dudes, he's got a lease. They're saying, oh, he didn't get any money in QE2's will. Okay, to avoid taxes, the whole chunk of change went to Charles. But there was a letter left for Charles from his mother, which was a de facto, can't say last will and testament, but it was a letter of guidance on what he should do after her death, where how certain people should be treated and how some prized possessions, if he should, be distributed to certain people. On paper, for legalities, everything goes from one monarch to the next monarch. Then the new monarch, after coronation, is then able to distribute tokens of remembrance from the prior monarch. And so, and of course, it would be very appropriate for Charles to help his brother maintain his house. Andy's not going anywhere. So these stupid little indie computer generated channels I'm laughing my ass off. Because it's like one of them, I'm laughing my butt off. They were talking about how because of Rachel, the one guy is complaining he was on the show Suits with Rachel, and now because of Rachel's behavior, Suits, they were going to do a made for TV movie as What's Happening Now, a catch up, What's Happening Now, but now it won't happen because of Rachel and her garbage. Well, I could tell it was a computer generated video because the voice didn't know how to pronounce paralegal. And it's funny because they also mispronounce live for live. Live broadcast versus living. Live a life. So some of these little channels, just all they are is computer generated garbage nonsense regurgitating old news. And unless you see a live body talking, and forget about it. I mean, there are some people that do hide their faces for personal reasons because they have children and they don't want their children to be harassed at school. But those of us who are single and some of these other channels, yeah, hey, start showing the faces of the announcers, if there are real announcers. Something else I'm laughing about is the Orkney Islands, way up there at the north end of Scotland. They're getting so fed up with UK nonsense. They're thinking about either going independent or going back to the rule of what they were back in the 1500s. Yeah, so Orkney Islands were part of the Scandinavian Empire, like Danish Norwegian rule. So they're considering leaving the UK to become part of Norway. Holy moly, what is going on over there? We all know people are getting sick and tired of these fools who are coming across, the government giving them everything, and these migrants are demanding that everybody live by their code of standards. I'm like, nuh-uh, not happening, not in my book. I mean, the Taliban has basically, they have, not basically, but they have, since they have taken over, since JoJo left strung Afghanistan out to hang, out to dry. Women have basically been shut out of society. No women in the schools or colleges. No education for little girls. Women are no longer allowed to work. And the few occupations that the Taliban was tolerating will now be closed. All hair salons, women's for personal care, they have to shut down within a month. They'll just go back to what they were doing before. Working, being kitchen beauticians. There'll be the whole underground women's movement all over again. And there will be extremely, let's put it this way, smuggling of women's cosmetics will be a big game in and out of Afghanistan now. Now I watched Mark Dice today. Yeah, I mean, some people are having total fits about the 4th of July. Well, you know what, dudes? If you don't like the country, move. You want all this, you're screaming about reparations? Well, instead of harassing the U.S. government for it, why don't you do your DNA test? Find out what region of Africa your DNA most aligns with. And why don't you petition that government for selling your ancestor and putting them on the ships back in the 16, 17, 1800s? Okay? Don't blame us. Don't blame America. Blame it on the country that your African forefathers, your ancestors, were sold from. Okay? That's where you should be going after for reparations, because your ancestors were actually sold. Not the country where they landed. No, but the country that sold them. That makes sense to me. Yeah. I think it'll make sense to a lot of other people. And other stuff that's going on, it's like the Khalistanis. They're even more upset. They've already trashed the consulate in Vancouver. And now for the second time this year, they've torched the consulate in San Francisco. So, yeah, San Francisco is still #1 in the running of cities to be destroyed here in the United States. And yeah, more hatred. It's like this person, Natasha Cloud, she's a WNBA player, is like trash talking the United States all over the place. And she's making more noise today. Okay, I never heard of her. Doesn't she get, they said she makes like 200 grand a year to play basketball. Well, sweetie, if it wasn't for the NBA, the guys' team, you wouldn't have a job. And if life is so horrible here for you, you know, why don't you go play for one of the women's leagues somewhere in Europe, and you will see how bad things really are. Why don't you go play in China, okay? They're looking for basketball players over there, okay? So, yeah. Okay, that's the end of my notes for today. I hope everybody has a wonderful 4th of July. If you don't like the United States, get the hell out. Yeah. If you don't like it, why don't you move down to Venezuela? I bet your income would be a real boost to the economy down there. Okay? Or go to move to China. I'm sure they would love you. Another little follower of the CCP. So have a good holiday, and on the 6th we'll be back to our regularly scheduled time at 4:30 in the afternoon. So see you later. Bye bye, folks.